Okay, let's call the meeting to order. We're gonna skip the public input, right?
Well,
These-
we're gonna be in our
We're
public.
gonna, the gentleman first. Go ahead, you're right.
Go ahead, okay. Hello, everyone. As I've come to many meetings over the past almost year or so, I appreciate going out here. Oh, sorry. Frank Doppel with Select Energy. We, with BJ here, responded to the RFP for the solar for the DPW building. As you may recall, we talked about us owning it, and then you guys said you want to own it, and we've been going back and forth for a while here. So originally we had spec'd out a system for the size that we originally talked, but it was a little over your budget. So we reworked the system design and have two system options now that are within the budget of your $200,000 budget, which had been passed at the town meeting. So I printed out 6 copies of each of these. There's 2 alternatives for the design. And I guess before I get into that, what are the questions, any questions you have about the solar design for that would go on this building?
Not really. The only thing that kind of stinks is that Ronnie Higgins is the one that's very familiar with the solar stuff. And he's actually at a meeting out in California this week. So
Okay.
he's not here. We can pass this information along to him and see what he has to say and thinks about it.
Okay.
What's the basis of this? You owning it or us?
You guys expressed an interest in you owning it, and that was one of the options that was passed at your town meeting for.
So what you have there is based on that?
This is
us
based
owning
upon
it?
you owning it, correct,
Okay.
yeah. So as I said before,
I was just saying, the difference in the two systems is one is a US-made panel and one's a foreign-made panel.
Made where, China?
yeah. That's where the bulk of the manufacturing is for solar panels right now. India's big too, and Thailand, and some in Germany, but there is some in the US as well. You get less for your money. That's what it boils down to. So Solar World, they do have US-made panels. I'll pass these around. Want to take some pass around? And that system will, the thing to focus on is how much power that will produce annually. And that will produce approximately 54,000 kilowatt hours. And this building uses about 20,000 kilowatt hours. So everything you overproduce, you'll get credits from the utility, and then you'll be able to allocate those credits as you need to. And one of the services that Select offers is we offer the ability to help you manage that for you. So you take what's called files called Schedule Z, and credits from this account will be moved to other account. At that point, it's purely accounting. You can put it in your public safety building, town hall, water department, wherever you want to move those credits onto your account. Yes?
And how much is this building used right now?
20,000.
20,000.
Give or take.
Right.
One thing to say pretty much about all solar array systems out there, they do degrade 0.5% a year. So you're gonna get 55,000 this year, a little bit less every year. After about 20 years, 25 years, you're still above 80%. So that's just any solar array you're gonna buy, whether you owned it, we owned it, that's the way they work. So,
No matter if it's US made or...
no matter if it's US made or not. Okay.
One point to make is, in the invitation to bid, although it's also points out non-US made, it's still high efficiency panels.
Yep.
So the grade of the panel is equivalent, it's just.
Yeah, we only deal with top tier manufacturers out there. A few years ago, Wall Street analyzed the industry. Obviously, it's a newer industry, so there's startups and stuff like that. But Wall Street looked at the companies not so much from a technology perspective. They did evaluate that, but they really evaluated the companies from a bankability. Would they be willing to make loans against them? And we only deal with manufacturers that are in that top tier for the safety of us and for our customers. So as an alternative to that, we developed the version with the non-US made panels. It's by a manufacturer called Q-Cell, and that system will produce about 10% more power for the same price. And the more power you have, the more money you save, the more credits you generate as well.
So we're talking 59.
59,000, correct.
Where are those panels made?
China.
What's how's the tariff affect the different pricing on these now? Didn't they try to raise the tariff because they figured everything was getting outsourced to China and they tried to make it a little bit more competitive?
hasn't affected us yet. Any and all tariffs are baked in the ability for this pricing to meet that $200,000 budget. So,
No.
now, 3 months from now, or even after January 20th, who knows? Now, speaking of timelines, there's two ways the town benefits from solar. One is obviously the production of solar itself and the offsetting electrical costs and generating credits with National Grid. Another benefit of solar is what's called the SREC program. I don't know if everyone remembered that, but as your system is on your roof and generating credits, the state developed a program called Solar Carve-Out, which generates what are called SRECs, Solar Renewable Energy Certificates. These are to compensate you for the solar, the green aspect of the power. So right now we're in what's called the SREC 2 program, and we're actually in extra innings or overtime is the best way to talk about it. So 9 months ago, you would have gotten a 0.9 SREC factor. So for every 1,000 kilowatts hour you produce, you would have gotten 0.9 SRECs. Now that's gone down to 0.7. So you get a little bit SRECs, but we are under a time crunch. So in order to get that, systems have to be constructed by May 8th. May 8th is not far away. Building a solar array takes some time. The biggest chunk of it is we have to do official engineering design work, both on the electrical side and the structural side. And we're going to work with BJ on that to make sure that the building can be satisfied from a structural engineering perspective to be built and to hold solar. And then at the same time, in parallel with that, we will finalize the electrical design and get stamped drawings, again, stamped affidavits, stamped drawings by professional engineers. And then that gets submitted to the utility. And then we wait. The utilities have 55 days to review. So the longer we wait, and it's already almost middle of November, 55 days is usually mid-January. We don't know what the weather's gonna be like in the wintertime. May 8th is a tight deadline. You know, and yours is not the only project we're talking about. We have a lot of customers signing up right now. We're staffing up. We have the expediting the staff on hand. The contractors that we work with to get everything done on the right time. Your job is a little bit unique. You call for prevailing wage. You call for a DCAM contractor, which we're happy to work with. And thanks for the introduction again, to make that happen. So basically, you know, if you wait anymore, you're probably going to miss the SREC 2 program, because not only does that have to be constructed by May 8th, but you have to have it contracted by January 8th. But you can't come to us on January 7th and say, oh yeah, we want to do this. It's going to be too tight. So I think we talked about November 7th being the original date. Now we have this meeting, but time is of the essence here. So if you wait, there is going to be a phase 3 program. It's going to be a slightly different program. Instead of SREC, it's going to be a feed-in tariff. Bottom line, it's going to be less money.
Based on the current, what's our payback on this?
How
many years?
I believe it's about 12 to 13 years. Because that SREC factor went down. So I think we were talking a little bit short time frame before. So.
What's the expected net metering for this location? The rate per watt?
Your offset is about 17 cents. Now guys, that will fluctuate with the utility, as utility rates go up and down. That will fluctuate a little bit, but just like your charges fluctuate, so do your credits. And the nice thing is, the other benefit that you enjoy that most of my customers don't enjoy is you get 100% net metering credits, where private companies only get 60% on net metering. So if you offset a kilowatt hour, you get 17 cents. If you produce one, you get 17 cents. So it doesn't matter whether you actually use it or actually produce it. And that's why it makes sense for us to oversize this building. Where if you're a private company, it probably wouldn't make sense to do that.
Are you telling me you haven't done any structural evaluation though to know the potential?
We have looked at the building. We think it's going to be good, but until we have a certified professional engineer looking at it, and that costs money, we always do that. That's the first thing we do at the post contract. The minute we get that notice to proceed, we hire the engineer, have him come out. He does the full analysis, and gives us a thumbs up, thumbs down. And at the same time, we start spending the money to do the final electrical designs. Because those costs, again, those certified stamps are not inexpensive.
No, they're not, but they also can be the thing that just shuts this whole project down.
That's why
Because big warehouse buildings usually don't have great structural stability for their big wide roof and adding a lot of new things on the roof. So that's why I was wondering how far have we even
We have looked at it. We think it's on the positive side. You know, I'm not a certified engineer, not a professional engineer. We think looks good. I mean, if it looked horrible, we wouldn't be having this discussion. We wouldn't waste your time, we wouldn't waste my time, you know. What did you
We're
say?
adding roughly 3 pounds a
Yeah.
square foot.
Yeah, 3.5 pounds per foot. Solar is very, very light. What's interesting is on a roof like yours, we connect it and bolt it on. On a rubber roof, which we do plenty of rubber roofs, it's actually heavier.
Ballasting is the
Yeah,
worst.
we have to have, because they act more like kites than anything else. So,
Because we'd also asked Matt because of the fact that this roof is 25 years old.
See, that's gonna be,
We had asked that before.
have you considered the cost of doing anything with this roof before bolting everything on due to the fact that the roof is 25 years old?
we have not put that into the budget of the project, and I didn't think that was necessarily budgeted for. Obviously, if you spend money to do that, that's less money available for the solar. So,
Yeah, but it's gonna cost us a lot in 5 years to rip all of that off, to re-roof it, to put it all back on again. So it's one of those things you don't wanna overlook. I know in Worcester, they did a lot of like a hydrostop product, where it's almost like a roll-on type.
Like a spray-on
And it
coating?
gives you another 20-year warranty.
we have a guy that can
So-
come out and look at doing that for you. You know, again, usually, a lot of times we put our customers in touch with them directly, and they just contract with them directly. So, that's like, it's almost like a Rhino Shield spray-on coating.
Yeah, and it might be maybe worth us just looking at that outside this, because I know that like we only had so much for this line item. To throw it into this contract would take from our production levels, because we'd have to use that money on a roofing, but I don't know if there's another means we'd wanna,
Depends on, yeah.
but we need to, yeah, we need to know the numbers. I don't know what else to do from there.
We haven't had any problems with the roof, have
Having
we?
any issues here, we've had a couple of, like I say, minor things here and there, just around pipe we've gone out there and just tightened up either a couple screws that either came out, we put the screws in,
Right.
or just fixed some stuff around where the vent pipes go through.
Not a lot of indication of screws, seals,
No.
frequent screws.
And the other benefit of having the solar array on top of that, it's actually shielding the roof again, you know, extending the wear on the roof.
I don't know if there's a warranty on the roof, but, I mean, 25, it's not that common that you replace metal roofs.
Right.
20, 25 years, if it was rubber, that would be one thing, if you're meeting its life, but there's a lot of metal buildings out there that have roofs that are 30, 35, 40 years old, I would think.
Do you know if this racking system lines up with the high points? The attachment mechanism would line up with the high points of the metal roof? Or would you be penetrating through the valleys to connect to the structure?
We would be penetrating through to connect to the purlins, to the structure, the underlying structure of the roof.
It would be on the valley of the rib.
Would that be something covered under your warranty if that starts leaking, your penetrations?
So we don't give a roof warranty, but we do warrant our connections well. Again, they use the same type of connectors that any other roofing product would use. With the grommets.
So what
and
I'm saying is if it leaked through that, is that covered by your warranty?
So you're asking if,
How your racking connects to the structure?
right,
If it leaks at that point,
yeah,
that's covered by your warranty, correct?
yeah, it would be covered by warranty.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I agree, metal roofs do last a long time I just don't want to be,
If
Right.
our racking system caused the roof to fail,
Right.
then that would be a warranty
yeah,
issue.
yeah,
but-
right, yeah, I'm not thinking of anything else.
Right.
No, I'm sorry, I just,
Nope. Fair questions?
little experience with this, so I just pumping out questions, but if any, don't shoot me down if you think I'm talking too much.
I mean, and given the time frame, even though the design and everything would have to happen immediately, you know, not having the installation happen immediately, you would have a window to explore possibly a coating or something like that, see if it's of, you know, good value for the dollar. I'm not sure the square foot cost or any kind of budget for that type of coating, but
Yeah,
if it gave you another 25 years and it was reasonably inexpensive, I mean, it might be worth considering.
worth doing, right, depending on the cost of the
Yeah.
building, worth looking into, sure.
Is this a pad-mounted inverter, or is it something that gets mounted on the wall somewhere?
So these are actually mounted as part of the system. These are called string inverters.
Oh yeah, string inverter.
Yeah, so.
Micro or like actual string inverters? Because the
These-
string inverters I'm used to are still like 2 foot by 3 foot by 10 inches deep.
Yeah, this is for this particular job, we recommend, and because of the voltage, we use a brand called HiQ. And it's kind of a hybrid approach. between full string and microinverters.
Oh.
There's a lot of innovation happening because that's one part of the industry that if you look at the inverter is the box that converts the DC direct current from the panels into AC, which is what we use. There's a lot of computer technology being brought to bear on these. The high Qs, you look at them and they're like strong metal with fins on them, but they're very low profile. So
Alright, so,
Is it 10 panels per inverter?
so it's 11 to 12 panels per string.
Okay.
And the way we have to just balance that out as we connect all that up. That's what our electricians do.
The Q cell was the non-US?
Correct.
So that annual production was the 59.54,
Correct.
and the US made, the production is 54.34?
Correct.
So it's not
About-
that much.
About 10% more.
I think Ron was the one who had recommended go with the
The
US.
US made.
That's what he had said.
what's your history with the inverters you're recommending? Because lately I noticed that inverters get bought, installed, and a year later you can never find them to do warranty work on them because the manufacturer disappears.
Right. And that's why, again, back to that tier one conversation, we're dealing with the very stable companies. We went out to the show about a month or two ago, and there are hundreds of inverters, panel manufacturers, names you probably can't even say or spell, and then next year they won't even be here. We don't deal with them until they've been out there and are one of the top tier manufacturers, and we have experience with them and work with them. We don't recommend products that we can't stand behind. Because this is not a one-year relationship. One of the other benefits of dealing with Select, we talked about the SRECs. Well, SRECs have to be traded. The certificate itself, you're not going to be able to get a cup of coffee with it. Select, we trade them for our customers as part of our standard operating maintenance monitoring package. And we do not charge a commission. And the reason we do that is we own the systems ourselves. Back per the discussion we originally had about us owning the system for you, we own it for many other nonprofits. Actually, we're building the system at Haverhill City Hall right now. And when that's done, we're going to own that, so we're going to generate SRECs that are in our name. We take our SRECs, we take almost all of our customers, except Harvard Business School, they want to trade their own. So they are one of our customers. But we trade them for everybody. So we bring them in, that gives us much better pricing power in the marketplace. More importantly, it gives us the ability to keep our finger on the pulse of the SREC market. What's really going on there? We trade them, and then we cut checks back out to all of our customers on a quarterly basis. And again, you generate for a quarter. Mass CEC, Clean Energy Center, takes about a quarter to look at it, and then they give us the data, we trade. So that first one is 6 months in arrears, but once you get that first one, you get it for 40 quarters, basically 10 years. And no commission charge with working with Select.
Do you do the third-party monitoring?
Yes, we do it ourselves.
Is that online so we would have access to see what's going on?
Yep, and that was actually included as part of the bid of, training you. It's a simple web interface and it's monitor only, so you can click and do whatever you want, you can't break it. So that's always a good thing. You can monitor it and you can get reports out of it and see what you need to do. And again, we're constantly monitoring it for you, so if we see something go weird, we correlate it with what's going on here, and this system is getting more and more sophisticated. We're not only comparing it, okay, how's the Barry system today compared to yesterday? Well, what's the weather? What's the weather? Oh, we have a system 2 towns away. How's that one performing? Oh, they're both down. Okay, it's probably bad weather. Oh, they're both up. But if your system, something just doesn't seem right, it's possible. They have circuit breakers. It will pop. And if you're not watching it, you come in, turn on the lights, turn on the machines, everything's going to work. Because even if that system is totally offline, the building still works because you get power from the grid. So that's the benefit of having it monitored, because if you're not monitoring it, you don't expect you to. We monitor it for you 24/7. The first thing we'll do is, we see something weird, we're gonna call you. And say, hey, we're not seeing something right here. Oh yeah, well we're doing something, or there's a big tree moving by and clouding everything up or whatever. And then if it's more than that, we drill into it, and then if we have to, we send somebody out to look at it.
Does this come with any maintenance after the install, or is that on us?
So for the first year, we cover everything lock, stock, and barrel. And the main reason we do that is we want to see how your system performs winter, spring, summer, fall. Because, buildings move, flex, sun, shade, leaves, all that stuff. Shouldn't have to worry about a lot of that because this building's very out in the open. And then after that, we have an annual maintenance package that'll be available to purchase. We talked about the numbers of that yesterday. I
We're
got
gonna
you.
keep that just completely separate.
Yeah,
because it would be
right, but that's,
like a service
it's industry
contract.
standard service contract, and that includes all of our monitoring, our maintenance. We come out once a year, we check all the voltages, we check the inverters, check all the things out that need to be checked, and just make sure everything's good. We can do a lot of that remotely, but you really, it's one thing, the machine says it's, 55 volts, we come out and actually put a voltmeter on it and really check it, and just make sure everything's up and running. And just keeping, we wanna make sure, because again, you only make money when you're producing kilowatt hours, so we wanna make sure we optimize that every year.
How do you connect with your third-party monitoring? Is it through a cellular connection or a data drop?
Usually we do it through the internet. That's the easy, give us a Wi-Fi and that's what we connect on. There are other options, but that's the cheapest and easiest one to do. So we prefer.
I'm just not sure what we have in the building, so we
We
just
have
need to know.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, knowing this place, I think much better luck with Wi-Fi than with cellular.
Oh, yeah, that was the other thing.
My recollection.
If you live on cellular, I was like, oh, that's not necessarily.
Yeah.
For systems over 60 kilowatts, the National Grid requires either a phone line for their meter or or a cellular. We do some for both, but this one is actually, the AC rating, that's one of the other numbers on the sheet, is actually 40 kilowatts, because you always, based upon the inverter, is always a little bit lower than the DC, because there's no reason to spend the extra money for the system that way. So the utility always speaks in terms of AC, so when you talk to them, it'll be, like when we fill out the paperwork, well, why are you submitting for a 40 kilowatt system? This is a 60. Yeah. From their perspective, it's a 40. So.
I guess the only other thing I would have to ask about that is with the inverters, it sounds like you said they're up on the roof with the system. Are they installed kind of like in a location along the racking where a panel normally would go, or are they under the panels? How do they?
The IQs I believe either installed under the panels, or sometimes we can put them on the side of the building. Do you have a strong preference there either way?
Well, I'm just thinking if we end up ever doing the maintenance ourselves, it probably would be better for us to have it on the side of the building.
Yep.
That way we're not removing a panel to get to the inverter. It just reduces our, annual cost for the maintenance over and over as long as we reduce. But I don't know if that affects proximity for your rapid response.
Yeah, and that is a big issue because once I believe it's 25 feet, so there's a lot. We're used to AC power, very well developed electrical codes around it. For DC power, once you go over 25 feet, you got to start adding extra components, which is extra cost, which is less power. So we usually don't do that. A lot of times we usually put them right on the roof with them, or right underneath it, and then we're gonna have connections back to here with rapid shutoffs. There's disconnects for the fire department as well as the rapid shutoffs, because when you disconnect it, I think it's 10 seconds or 30 seconds, that the system has to shut down so that they can start spraying water if they need to.
They should connect right to the racking system itself, right?
Yeah.
Do we have good overhang soffits? So like if they tuck the inverters underneath, you're still within the 25 feet, but you're somewhat protected from the environment similar to how they would have been if they were under the panel.
Yeah, if you
So they don't get ice jamming and popping them off is all I meant.
Would it matter how they string them? Because that's design.
that may matter. Again, the benefit here is you have one slab of roof, so we have very easy stringing. It's when you start having different facets, and that's one of the reasons why we actually went. The original design had stuff on the southeast and the northwest. Obviously, southeast is going to perform a little bit better, and this one was right on the edge there, so that's why we might be able to fit a couple more panels on. But again, because of the budget and everything else, that's why we kept to that size, and that will give us the better stringing there, more efficiency. Because you can't string panels that are facing different ways on the same string. It doesn't work. So to optimize your system for your building, we do that.
That's pretty much all the questions I had to rapidly spit out.
Anybody else?
What's
We
the
need to
next step?
first we need to make a decision whether we want to go with US or the Q-cell. That should be the first thing we need
Right.
to do.
Right.
Is there a difference in cost that I'm not
Same
seeing?
price.
It's
For
the production,
for the-
really.
Yeah.
Well, they're identifying both as they're limited by the inverter more than they are the panels.
No, just to be clear, the inverter is the AC rating. That's the rating of the inverters, because they do overperform at some points. The key number to look at is not the inverter, the AC rating, which I think is 40.3. The number to look at is the megawatt hours, or 1,000 kilowatt hours. That is what you get paid on. That is where you're gonna make your money. So don't even worry about the AC number. The only reason I brought that up is we don't need a phone line for that, so.
The 1094 versus the 1064, right?
Well, that's how well, that's the
Okay,
conversion factor.
okay.
The real is the 59,000 to the
Okay.
55,000.
Right.
54,000?
54.
54,000.
Okay.
54,
Yeah,
54,
54,000, 59,000, yeah. I just put it at real numbers, so that's 5,000 kilowatt hours a year. SREC's, about 250 in SREC, so minus the 0.7 factor, $1,000 more a year, plus the electrical savings on top of that. So that's the difference you make.
$1,000 a year and 20% of this building's power.
10%.
10%.
No, for the building uses 20,000, that's 25%. That 5,000 is, that's delivered.
So the building does 20,000 a year?
Approximately 20,000.
So we're looking at,
Again, that's your municipality, it doesn't matter whether it's actually used here or not, you're gonna get the same rates, so.
And obviously the biggest thing with any type of notice to proceed, it is understood that we have an initial fee for the engineering. That would be done immediately. It's not like, we wouldn't buy panels and then do engineering, obviously. So the engineering would kind of have to check out if there are structural modifications required. Usually they're not minor. We would obviously be able to provide some type of budgetary proposal if there were some minor alterations, clipping or something like that of the purlin, and we could propose that. But that would, if it doesn't come back favorable, that would most likely stop the project. If it does on most buildings,
Right.
it would be a major expense. It would then make the project really not worth it. We would
It
only
had to be in
bill,
the plan.
yeah, we would bill for the structural engineering, which was a broken out figure in our proposal.
it was?
That was it, yes.
Do you remember what the dollar amount was for that figure?
About 2,500.
Okay, so, in the grand scheme of things, no.
2450,
Yeah.
2,450.
That is just to determine whether it can handle the load,
That would
not
just-
what would then be charged to identify what you have to modify if it can't?
There wouldn't be a fee to charge. We would take the engineer's analysis, and then we would come up with if there was any issues, we would come up with a fee to fix them. But there would be no charge to determine that fee. That would just be,
That'd be
That'd be
included
our
in the
estimating
20, in
process.
the 25.
Yes.
That'd be included. The
But
engineers
not
need to come-
formal designs,
Any-
not
So
formal
any
designs.
structural design work necessary to make this roof handle the new load, if it is necessary, is part of that 2,500? Not just the assessment of, is
No,
the existing roof good?
in our experience, if it's a somewhat simple fix, if they run the calculations and it's an additional clip, a piece of angle iron, something somewhat on the minor side, that they would also make the recommendation of what needs to be done. If they come back in the roof, for example, we're adding 3 pounds a square foot, if it can only add another half a pound a square foot and a total redesign of your roofing structure would be required, it would not be included. Because it's really.
And we would just
Well,
stop.
it's
Designing a new building.
That's
Designing a new building.
That's what I'm saying, so if we need to make a minor change, that would be included.
Would this all be done before you start the engineering work on the electrical side?
Yeah, well, our
And
goal.
still meet the schedule
Yeah,
you're
so
talking
what we
about?
do is we do
Yes.
some work internally, and then we engage with a professional engineer outside, so that, the electrical professional engineer. So we try to get, on a building like this where the structural's, not 100%, we try to get the structural done as soon as possible before we incur any other costs on the electrical side. But we're gonna be going down parallel routes to get them done as soon as possible.
But we
See,
would-
that's what I mean, I wouldn't wanna set us up for paying you
No,
for
no,
structural
yes.
evaluation says it's not good, and then pay you for the
Correct.
electrical you already spent trying to prepare that.
I would think that our costs, other than the structural engineering, that if you gave us the authorization to move forward, the internal costs of the design would be at risk. We would be performing those at risk up to the point where we needed stamped engineered electrical plans. We would not proceed with those until we had the structural engineering complete.
And likewise, wouldn't file with the utility and pay all their fees.
Yeah.
Until it's all complete.
That would not. That's another point to bring up, of it. Any electrical fees from National Grid, if they said they needed to upgrade utility service to the building, would be the other potential reason to
Correct, usually,
kind of blow the budget
we
on it.
very rarely see it on a project of this size, but it's always possible, and you never know until you actually file with National Grid, and they look at this specific location. One of the reasons we actually went smaller was that this building only has a 200 amp service, so while the building could have handled, I think, 120 initially, without upgrading the service, the building
Right.
couldn't handle that. That's why we went back down to 74, and now because your budget went back down to 55 or 59. So for a system of that size, I mean, we're almost talking a residential size system. Very nice residence, but we're not talking, doing. I think we're talking 300 kilowatts over at the water treatment center at one point. This is relatively modest. We don't,
Right,
but it may happen.
You don't anticipate
Right.
National Grid charges, but
never know.
But it's
Exactly.
National Grid.
Yeah, we've got a lot of solar in this town, so you never know what's on this circuit.
Yeah.
So Jay, do you know what's on this circuit right now? Because I know that other areas like going up North Brookfield Road, all of that had to be changed in order to meet those solar farms that were up there. So I mean, on this street right here, do you know about that?
I don't. There's nothing on this street in Barry, just over line Hardwick, just a large system that they're putting in right now.
Right.
But in Barry, there's none that I'm aware of. On this.
On this
street.
stretch.
Yeah.
So at one point, to find it, we ran what's called a pre-screen for Barry. I don't know if I have it on my system here.
It actually gives you the loads per circuit.
They give you a rough,
Estimate.
it's a rough one. Let's see right here.
I know they were never willing to commit when we talked to them. Tomorrow, someone could put in a whole new system. We can't. Don't ask me.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, just tell me what you know today. I know it can change tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it right here. I can look that up and get it over to you.
It's just another factor that goes with the structural. That's why I'm thinking, and like you said, I guess they
Maybe a
have
little bit
55
further into
days,
it.
but
30, there was a separate fee that was broken out for that as well. Heather?
I'm sorry?
There's a separate fee
Yes.
for the design
The permitting costs?
permitting, yeah, that's right.
$2,850.
So again, on the grand scheme of things, it's still a smaller fee, but that you'd be a little bit more vested by the time National Grid came back with any fees.
So when are you going to have, if we said okay to this, when are you going to have that structural engineer come in to look at this roof? Like in the next 2 weeks?
Yes.
All right, so
That's our
that's in
objective.
the next 2 weeks.
If we get the notice to proceed, that would be objective to get them out here as soon as we can.
All right, and then you'll work on that electrical part of it? You'll
Yeah,
have
we'll start doing the
this in
internal
there?
work and filling
Okay.
out paperwork and getting signatures. Okay, well, we get some legal documents and, pre-signs and stuff and all of that. But I did find the pre-screen, there is some decent power on this circuit already. But again, for a system of this